Take the fast lane through the topics that matter across the Commonwealth. This is the Fast Lane with Ed Lane.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are staying safe out there. To all of our friends out there in the Lynchburg area, everywhere that it has snowed, and apparently we're supposed to get more this Friday and Saturday. So on top of the frozen ice tundra that we already have, we're again expecting more snow. Now, I don't know how much snow is supposed to fall. I've heard a few inches. I've heard maybe only 2. But all that to say is winter is not done with us. Snowmageddon is not done with us. But I was finally able to dig out my car yesterday after working at the several jobs that I work, including this job, which I'm very grateful for. But got off yesterday, went straight to dig my car out. Took me a bit, but I finally got it out of the ice and everything, which is why I'm able to host the show today. Ed Lane not here today for the Fast Lane. He will be gone for the next 2 days, but we're excited because we do have a good show for you, including Bob Alvis's regular Fast Lane appearance later on in the show. It is a half show today because we have Virginia Tech Hokies women's basketball, and they're on a roll right now. Can they keep it up as they get ready to take on the Pittsburgh Panthers? They will be taking, that game will be taking place starting with coverage at 5:30 p.m. Thus the short show today here on the Fast Lane. So short show today, but a lot to talk about. And as I was preparing for this show, getting into more details, I was trying to figure out what would be the best topic to talk about. One of the topics you hear so much about, especially during college football, and I know we're going to hear it a lot during college basketball too, especially once the portal opens up following March Madness. And honestly, grateful for that because it was opening during March Madness and you had a lot of players backing out to enter said transfer portal, leaving some teams under depth. So I was stumbling looking for topics today to talk about, and I had a couple of good ones, but the one topic that came to mind, and it has to do with Conference USA. So after yesterday against Western Kentucky, Kennesaw State head coach Pettaway focused his attention on a topic that they've been quiet about. But for those who don't know, the preseason favorite, Conference USA Player of the Year, Simon Cottle, was found along with 4 other active men's college basketball players and 16 former players in a betting scam. A scam that involved being paid to underperform. Otto was found to have done this against Queens way back when the betting number was for Queens to cover in the first half. So for $40,000, Simon Cottle did just that, made sure that happened. As a result, he has been suspended. He is under investigation right now, along with another former Kennesaw State player, well known for helping Kennesaw State make the NCAA tournament a couple years back when Darius McGee was here with Liberty. Pettaway finally addressed it, and he said that his attention on the blame is the predators who organized the scheme. And fair enough. Because chances are, and I don't know Simon Cottle as a person, so I have to imagine that chances are he was influenced heavily into doing this bet. Pettaway would go on to say, you're being a predator online, and you're reaching out to them and getting these dudes to mess up because there's a lot of dudes on the list. He's talking about active players, former active players, They got a long road ahead of them because in the dark, a grown-up reached out to them and led them down the wrong path. Now, Pettaway did state he's not giving a pass to the players who took the bribes. They made their own judgment call. But he expressed more frustration with the ringleaders, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. As someone who likes to believe that everybody has a good moral compass, because why should I assume you have a bad moral compass unless you give me signs that you do? Mom always said you try to see the best in everybody. But there are some dark people out there willing to take advantage of these young players who are in these programs that don't get a lot of the NIL money, by the way, that don't see the millions, barely even double-digit thousands. So then you take that bribe, you say, hey, you can make twice as much if you help us place our bet, if you underperform in this game. Otherwise, you probably have more and more people, I'd imagine, who couldn't purposely want to underperform, right? And it got me thinking, are we ever going to see this in the NIL? What do I mean is, look, the NIL is already crazy enough, but there are no rules right now. Look at the Darian Mensah case with Duke and Miami. Darian Mensah signed to Duke, but then Miami was reaching out. He entered the transfer portal again, and now he's going to Miami. Cooper Barkate following him right there. I think about recent events as with Dabo Swinney, who came out about Ole Miss messaging a linebacker who had committed to Clemson from the portal, reaching out to the kid in class, supposedly, Golden and all of them, and saying, hey, I know you've signed already, but what are the chances you can come to Ole Miss? See, that's legal, right? There's nothing against that. Whether you like it or not, that is our NIL landscape right now. But what if, not saying it's not happening now, because maybe it is, what if you have a donator from a school reaching out to another, maybe an in-conference rival? Hey, we will pay you more money to transfer to this school, but hey, you've got to underperform so that no other school looks at you and tries to take you. Hey, listen, we'll take you in for this amount of money, but keep playing for your school, but don't play well. Otherwise, deal's off. Are we going to start seeing that? High key donors for schools. We donate millions upon millions of dollars for that to happen. At what point, and I'm for players getting paid. I'm not against the NIL. Do I like everything the NIL comes with? No. I'm not against the players getting paid. Blah. Wow, I cannot talk today. Players getting paid. I'm not. NIL is as slippery as it is outside in Lynchburg right now once it reaches 6 p.m. and the ice freezes back over because there's no sun to even touch the ice. It's a frozen tundra that you don't know when or when not to touch, right? All that to say and more, I'm sure we may come across that in the future. We may come across where there was a pyramid scheme that involves NIL, paying players to underperform and then go to another school. It can happen. Question is it already happening? Interesting to find out that and more. But first, we got other topics to cover, including a couple of local ones with the Fast at Five-ish.
It's time for Fast Five at Five-ish. 5-ish minutes on 5 relevant topics done around 5 p.m. ish. Ish? Because our counting skills are kinda ish. Let's start with number 5.
Ryan Smith. You Hokie fans, JMU Duke fans may know that name. He was the safeties coach for JMU in 2019. In 2020, 2021, defensive pass coordinator for Virginia Tech Hokies. Responsible for mentoring guys like Caleb Farley, who hasn't had a great NFL career, but was a high college standout. Well, he's been with the Cardinals the last 3 years, put up great numbers as a pass game defensive coordinator, and now he is joining the Dallas Cowboys, filling a position well needed for the Dallas Cowboys, who are 31st in the NFL, by the way, in pass defense. Meaning when Russell Wilson has 400 plus yards at his stake, something's wrong with the defensive backfield. There needs, and it starts with the coaching. And that's exactly what Dallas has done. They have gone and gotten their guy, a local guy, in Ryan Smith. Speaking of the Dallas Cowboys,
Number 4.
Cowboys could franchise tag George Pickens. Not a shocker there. The guy that was top 5 in receiving yards, who flourished this year with the Dallas Cowboys after being traded by the Steelers after the draft last year. And he performed at a high state. I don't see why the Cowboys don't franchise tag him if they don't sign him off, sign him back on. I would. Why would you drop that? Why would you get rid of it? And I know people are going to say, look, Ryan Flournoy is really coming into his own. Obviously, you got CeeDee Lamb. That has to be the number one. That has to be the number one guy you take care of, right? Yes, and he's been taken care of. He's been paid. Why not add a little money to the pot with Pickens? But you franchise tag him now, maybe, and when it's time, you get to keep him on for at least another year. So if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm working everything possible to do that. Or if not, you could get some good draft capital out of him. And speaking of capital,
Number 3.
LeBron James, the kid from Akron, now too debated as the greatest of all time between him and Michael Jordan. I definitely think LeBron James has made his mark as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time. Yesterday, why are we talking about him? May have played his final game in Cleveland, where he started his career, went to the Miami Heat, came back, won a championship with Cleveland, and then went straight to LA afterwards. He only finished with 11 points, which what broke his streak of averaging 20 or more when playing at Cleveland on another team. So this could be an emotional time. We're getting to a point where if you are a 96 kid like me, maybe 1997, 98, so forth, or even early 2000s, early 2000s, and you grew up literally with LeBron James, man, just to see what could be the end of a career. And we know it's coming, but just for it to now be potentially happening, I do think LeBron will go and retire after the year. Crazy to think about that we are at that point. Crazy to think we are actually at the point where the king is calling it a quit. But what a legacy. What a legacy he'll leave behind. Meanwhile, you want to talk about legacies?
Number 2.
Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator for the Browns, was pretty upset, pretty peeved that he wasn't considered for the job at Cleveland for the head coaching job. Now, he was interviewed, but was looked over as Todd Monken, former Baltimore offensive coordinator, was hired. And right now, sources state that he plans on leaving Cleveland as soon as he possibly can. Hey, look, Jim Schwartz hasn't been a head coach since he coached Detroit Lions, so maybe that's the worry. I mean, he didn't have the best track record with Detroit, but hey, anybody's better than Matt Patricia at head coach, right? But you want to talk about great head coaching vacancies, or not even vacancies, but locations.
Number 1.
Jeff Goodman and Field of 68 ran an anonymous poll. They've been doing this with every conference. Today was Conference USA. And no surprise, Liberty was named the best place for a head coaching job. Money, resources. Liberty being one of the top group of 5 programs to have that. Can you blame them? One anonymous coach said that money and resources are the number one priority number one reason why Liberty even is at that spot. But shout out to Richie McKay, they would say, because they love to coach against him because he's a great competitor and he's done great things. Stuff we all know, right? So, Liberty, number one Conference USA position. I'll say it in both football and in basketball for the money and resources. Speaking of resources, high school, we get to shake it down with Bob Alvis, who touches on Snowmageddon, shaking up sports in the high school region. We're going to talk to Shania Brown, who's continuing to break records, and all this and more when we come back with Bob Alvis in the Fast Lane right before Hokie basketball.
Mark Dalton here with Terry Volkswagen. Get ready to fall head over heels for the perfect VW SUV. One size doesn't fit all, though, and that's why Volkswagen has an SUV for everyone. From the compact and affordable Volkswagen Taos to the tech-packed Tiguan and the spacious Volkswagen Atlas. No matter which one fits your lifestyle, you'll love the comfort, performance, and safety. Stop by Terry Volkswagen on Forest Road in Lynchburg or check us out online at terryvw.com. Terry Volkswagen. You'll love our cars.
Wintertime means it's time for preparation. That doesn't just include higher power utility bills. It also means what might be on the horizon down the road. Joining us now to discuss that, Corey Argentino from Earthright Mid-Atlantic and Earthright Roofing. Corey, in the short term, people know winter's here, power rates are increasing. How can solar help?
Solar will help lower your bill and give you a guaranteed bill every month, but the most important part is battery backup. So the Department of Energy warns that blackouts will increase by 100 times by 2030 if we don't make some changes. So sustainability is very important. We can do battery backup with solar or battery backup on its own, but having an alternative source of energy makes you sustainable and keeps your family safe.
How does that help people in the event of a power outage?
You have a seamless transition. Everything stays on. Your appliances, you get a notice on your phone saying you're running on battery backup. You even get warnings on your phone saying a storm is coming. It's unbelievable.
It's impressive. And learn more, it's easy. Come by, see the showroom on Timberlake Road in Lynchburg, and learn more at earthright.com.
Every child is on a journey. A path from the earliest days of wonder and discovery through all the years of learning and growing to become the person they were meant to be. At Children International, we're empowering children and youth to forge a path out of poverty. Walking alongside on their journey, we equip them with education, skills, and resources to succeed in every milestone of growth. From early childhood to starting school, through healthcare access and learning to read, to life skills, job skills, and leadership training, and into employment. This is how we build confidence and instill a positive mindset so they can achieve bright futures for themselves, their families, and communities. Learn how you can join the journey and help end poverty for good at children.org today.
Step into the Fast Lane 24/7 at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the Fast Lane.
Snowmageddon has affected a lot of people in the Lynchburg area. We hope you're staying safe, driving safe as the ice is still patchy out there. My neighborhood still hasn't been touched, so I got to tread carefully and not go as fast as we do here in the Fast Lane. And I'm wondering the same thing for our friend Bob Alvis, who now joins us here. Bob, how are you doing during Snowmageddon, man? Are you staying safe out there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know my limits, and my limits are to keep my big fat booty on the couch. So that's what I'm doing. You know, it's weird because we are going to get into high school, but there's going to probably be a lot of postponements for a while because I heard you mention you had problems getting out. Well, think about people, that are kids. And I guarantee you a lot of those back roads have not even been thought about being touched.
I agree, Bob Alvis, who joins us here on the Fast Lane from the Sports Buffet. So is it safe to maybe assume that it's a 50-50 chance of one of the big games between Liberty Bedford, who has risen, completely turned their season around from last year, taking on the EC Glass Hilltoppers, supposed to be tomorrow. Is it safe to assume that there's a 50-50 chance that probably won't happen?
I think there's 100-0 chance that doesn't happen
Oh, boy.
tomorrow. So we'll probably
Yeah.
see what goes on there. I've been talking to some of my my coaching friends, and some people are going to be looking at 8 games in 14 days. That's a lot, and you got to think there's rumor about maybe something coming on Saturday. Anytime something even is threatened to hit the ground, a lot of high school administrators are going to cack those extracurricular activities really quick, which
Yeah.
in turn falls to high school athletics. So I think it could be a while. I hope somebody plays next week, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I truly don't.
Yeah, I agree. The kid's safety does matter. We got to remember, as much as we love athletics, I think, Bob, you and I can agree the kid's safety does matter.
Well, absolutely. And, we're not in COVID times, thankfully. And I can tell you, people are not going to be playing in A, empty gymnasiums, and B, if the kids don't go to school, yeah, there are chances where you can practice. But I can tell you, just talking to some people, Jefferson Forest parking lot has not been touched.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. I haven't drove by there in a while, so I can only imagine, especially that road that goes up to Waymaker Church there, which is just a little bit past Jefferson Forest. I
Yep.
can only imagine how bad that road is.
Yep. And I mean, it's, the primary roads in the city are fine, and that's wonderful and
Yeah.
great. But, once you get outside of primary, because you got to think, I always think about it this way, because I still have a daughter in Bedford County Schools, and
Yes, sir.
I always tell her, hey, you've got Huddleston and Big Island. That might get you out of school quicker than anything. And the same thing for Campbell County, because you've got deeper Campbell County. So, yeah, it could be a while before these kids play without special permission.
Lord knows I hate driving through Big Island when it's not affected by snow.
Yep.
So I can only imagine how bad it is when there is snow on the ground. Bob Alvis joining us here. You talked about it. We may be seeing teams play 8 games in 14 days. Bob, with that much activity going on in a short amount, how much does that affect teams who not only on the top, but the bottom teams that are trying to rise while they still can this season? How does that affect them?
Well, you hit the nail on the head earlier when you brought up EC Glass. DJ Best has had his kids in so many team camps. I don't think it'll affect them as much because they're used to sit, start a lot. And I can tell you this, every coach I know, whether it be basketball, football, any sport, they do not like it when they cannot practice. They don't like these back-to-back games, I don't think, as much. Now, It's the nature of the beast, and especially when you get at this point, it really becomes the nature of the beast. But these athletic directors, too, are going to have a hard time figuring out when are we going to get the games in, because guess what? Not only are we going to have to get boys in, we're going to have to get girls in, too. And we're going to have to get wrestling in, and we're going to have to get track in. So there's going to be a lot of time people need in the gym, and guess what? There's only one gym.
Absolutely. And there's multitude of athletes that play multiple sports, too. So
Yep.
Basketball, track, I guarantee you there are basketball players that play track. Bob, let's say this game does happen within the next week, right? EC Glass and Liberty Bedford. Look, Coach Sweeney has done a great job with this program. We know what DJ Best and the kind of team that EC Glass has been. They've been a great team throughout the year. How Liberty Bedford, the last time this team played, they got not dog walked, but it wasn't good. How do you approach this game if you're Liberty Bedford? And if you're EC Glass, how should you prep for this game?
I think if you're EC Glass, it's just another day at the office. EC Glass looks at this as very much a business trip. Liberty's getting into some second go-arounds now, so they're really going to have to get adjusted quickly to everything that they're facing, because everything they're going to be facing is new. So we'll see how that goes for them. EC Glass, to be the man, you got to beat the man, and they're still the man.
Bob Alvis joining us here from the Sports Buffet podcast. We talk about Snowmageddon and the craziness it brings here, but let's talk about the good news. Shania Brown and the kind of career she's having. She's still got one more half of basketball to play before her career's over, and she'll probably eclipse 1,600 points. With Shania Brown and Liberty Bedford, they scored the most point. They tied scoring the most points against LCA's women's team, who are holding opponents to 30 or under. How dangerous can this team be not just with Shania Brown, but as a whole? Do you feel like if Shania Brown has a bad game, Liberty Bedford has a bad?
I think it's a lot different of a team than what Liberty used to have because there's no Sierra St. John and no Mariah Tate on the outside. Shania Brown's very good on the inside. Shania Brown's also developed an outside portion of her game. And keep in mind, TJ, Liberty's in division, they're in 2A. Yeah. So they're going to play the 2C teams where LCA is going to play 3, JF and Glass play 4. So It could be a different level of competition. I think Liberty in all sports is getting tested more in the competition now to when they go down. I don't want to say it becomes easier, but they're normally not going to see as quick or as strong of teams as they've seen right now.
You know, I think what impresses me the most is Paul Redgate and LCA. I remember when Avery Mills, a couple years back, I'm sure you remember her, Bob, and the amount of talent that she brought to LCA along with the talent around her. And now you look at Taylor Rivard and that team. What is it about Paul Redgate that's able to bring in such talent?
Well, he's got his daughter on the team too, Madison. Yeah. Kayla Rivard, obviously very good. He's really a guy that gets to know his players. And I believe when you know your coach and you play hard for your coach, not to say they didn't play hard for Heather Stevens, but I think it's just an added bonus that you have. And that's why I think a lot of coaches around here are so good at building relationships and not just saying to their kids, here, go play. But Redgate has a wealth of knowledge from basketball, too, playing at Emory and Henry when he was a player under the legendary Bob Johnson.
Absolutely. Bob Alvis here joining us on the Sports Buffet podcast. We'll see what happens with these games. More than likely going to be delayed more. We're probably going to see a lot of run-ons together. But until then, Bob Alvis, we know we'll have you to keep us in check, in touch with everything going on. And as always, we appreciate your time here on the Fast Lane, man.
Stay warm.
You too, man. This has been the Fast Lane. I'll see you tomorrow. Now on to Virginia Tech Hokie women's basketball.
Virginia Tech Hokies are on the air. Today's broadcast is sponsored by